This is Dr. P. Welcome to the new year, everybody. I'm back with another video, and we're going to be reading Dead Bart, which is a creepypasta from my childhood. And I know this one's not very popular, but it also is well known. I know a lot of people don't really love this one all so much. And I've never heard the full thing. I've only ever heard summaries of this one, which is very strange to me. Since it's only an estimated 4 minutes on the website for a read. And I always found that very strange that I've only ever heard a summarized version of this creepypasta. Now, I've also seen what would they be called? Like retakes on the idea with YouTube videos and all that. And I've seen somebody rank them all on YouTube. So I want to say I'm kind of in the know, and I know what The Simpsons is. I used to watch The Simpsons all the time as a kid. Just like I would assume a lot of people of my age probably did. It used to be a big thing. The Simpsons used to be a very, very big thing. Back on track, Dead Bart. We'll be reading this creepypasta, and it'll be only a couple minutes long. We'll see how it goes and all that. So, without further ado, let's head into Dead Bart. You know how Fox has a weird way of counting Simpsons episodes? They refuse to count a couple of them, making the amount of episodes inconsistent. The reason for this is a lost episode from Season 1. Finding details about this missing episode is difficult. No one who was working on the show at the time likes to talk about it. From what has been pieced together, the lost episode was written entirely by Matt Groening. During the production of the first season, Matt started acting strangely. He was very quiet, seemed nervous and morbid. Mentioning this to anyone who was present resulted in them getting very angry and forbidding you from ever mentioning it to Matt. The episode's production number was 7G44. The title was Dead Bart. In addition to getting angry, asking anyone who was on the show about this would cause them to do everything they can to stop you from directly communicating with Matt Groening. At a fan event, I managed to follow him after he spoke to the crowd, and eventually had a chance to talk to him alone as he was leaving the building. He didn't seem upset that I had followed him, probably expecting a typical encounter with an obsessed fan. When I mentioned the lost episode, though, all color drained from his face, and he started trembling. When I asked him if he could tell me any details, he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and handed it to me. He begged me never to mention the episode again. The piece of paper had a website address on it. I would rather not say what it was, for reasons you'll see in a second. I entered the address into my browser, and I came to a site that was completely black, except for a line of yellow text, a download link. I clicked on it, and a file started downloading. Once the file was downloaded, my computer went crazy. It was the worst virus I ever seen. System restore didn't work. The entire computer had to be rebooted. Before doing this, though, I copied the file onto a CD. I tried to open it on my now empty computer, as I suspected there was an episode of The Simpsons on it. The episode started off like any other episode, but a very poor quality animation. If you'd seen the original animation from Some Enchanted Evening, it was similar, but less stable. The first act was fairly normal, but the way characters acted was a little off. Homer seemed angrier, and Marge seemed depressed. Lisa seemed anxious, and Bart seemed to have genuine anger and hatred for his parents. The episode was about the Simpsons going on a plane trip. Near the end of the first act, the plane was taking off. Bart was fooling around, as you'd expect. However, as the plane was about 50 feet off the ground, Bart broke a window on the plane and was sucked out. At the beginning of the series, Matt had an idea that the animation style of the Simpsons world represented life, and that death turned things more realistic. This was used in this episode. The picture of Bart's corpse was barely recognizable. They took full advantage of it, not having to move, and made an almost photorealistic drawing of his dead body. Act 1 had ended with the shot of Bart's corpse. When Act 2 started, Homer, Marge, and Lisa were sitting at their table, crying. The crying went on and on. It got more pained and sounded more realistic. Better acting than you would think possible. The animation started to decay even more as they cried, and you could hear murmuring in the background. This crying went on for all of Act 2. Act 3 opened with the title card saying 1 year had passed. Homer, Marge, and Lisa were skeletonly thin and still sitting at the table. There was no sign of Maggie or the pets. They decided to visit Bart's grave. Springfield was completely deserted. And as they walked to the cemetery, the houses became more and more decrepit. They all looked abandoned. When they got to the grave, Bart's body was just lying in front of his tombstone, looking just like it did at the end of Act 1. The family started crying again. Eventually they stopped and just stared at Bart's body. The camera zoomed in on Homer's face. According to the summaries, Homer tells a joke at this part, but it isn't audible in the version I saw. You couldn't tell what Homer was saying. The view zoomed out as the episode came to a close. Tombstones in the background had all the names of every Simpsons guest star on them. Some that no one had heard of in 1989. Some that hadn't been on the show yet. All of them had death dates on them. For guests who died since, like Michael Jackson and George Harrison, the dates were when they would die. You can try to use the tombstones to predict the death of living Simpsons guest stars. But there's something odd about most of the ones who hadn't died yet. All their deaths are listed as the same date. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if this was this person's first creepypasta. I can take a quick look here. I'm not sure. It is written by K.I. Simpson. That's actually kind of funny. Huh. So what do I think? Okay, this is really... It's difficult for me to say because on one hand, it's a classic. It's a very old creepypasta. A lot of people know about this one. But it's very infamous. It's very known, but not very good. And I'm on the fence. Like, I don't think it's very scary whatsoever. I think it's very cliche. I think it has a lot of things, like with Matt Groening being all depressed and weird about the episode itself. That's, I mean, it's a unique way, I guess, to receive, access to the creepypasta itself, but like, it's very, I don't know. It's just another iteration of the weird old guy from the garage sale giving it to you for free. It's another iteration of that, really. It is very overdone for creepypastas. But on the other hand, I think this was an early creepypasta. I'm not positive, but I want to say this was an earlier one. So I can give it a little bit of slack. I want to give it a little bit of slack for the cliches because it wasn't, at the time I don't think it was much of a cliche. So let's take that out and just look at the story itself. It's still not very amazing, I will admit, and I understand where a lot of the negativity for this one comes around. I do not hate it. Let's get that out of the way. I do not hate it. I do not love it, but I do not hate it. I like to see the good in every little bit of content. I try my best to look for what I like. So let's go for that. What did I like on this creepypasta? I thought that the theming was interesting. I like the idea of Bart flinging out of a plane. That sounds horrid, but not like that. I like the imagery in my mind of what that would look like. I don't know if I like the hyper-realistic, look of him landing on the ground and being really realistic looking, this, that, the other. I don't know if I love that all that much. One thing I never really hear people talk so much about, and more of a criticism, but for me it's more of a question, is when they're all sitting around the table and they're crying, and then it cuts to a year or so later and they're just sitting around the table still. My question is, maybe they didn't, sit there all year. Obviously they probably didn't sit there all fucking year. It just came back to that same spot that they're all sitting around a year later on the anniversary, is what I'm assuming, of Bart's death. They're sitting around, and Maggie and the pets are gone. That part always sticks with me whenever reading this. It makes me think, and it makes me wonder what happened to the baby and the animals. Did they not have enough? Because it says here that like the rest of the world is just like barren and abandoned. So did Bart cause this apocalypse? Did his death cause this like Springfield's apocalypse? I don't know. I doubt it. That would be very strange. But I don't know. Like that's another question that I have with this one, and it's very much up to interpretation on that. The guest stars' deaths and all being predicted and all on the same date is a little like, really, man? Come on. And gosh, is there anything else that I can really say about this? I don't think there's a whole lot else. I recommend, if you're going to, well, I guess you've already sat through and listened to it, but watch a few Dead Bart videos. Watch a few of the reimaginings on YouTube. They're not amazing, but some of them are decently okay. Who knows? Maybe you'll enjoy it. I think it's an interesting way to visualize how this creepypasta is. Some of them are really bad, though. I gotta admit, some of them are really bad. But I guess that's it. For me, I'm gonna say out of like 10, I'd give this creepypasta a solid like 4. It's has bits that I can pick out and say that's interesting, that's good. It's got a neat theming for The Simpsons, but it does not have a whole lot going for it, and it is not very scary whatsoever. But it is a classic. It is something that I hold dear to my heart, because this is the stuff of my childhood. I remember this in my childhood. I remember the Dead Bart thing. I think maybe as a kid, maybe it did creep me out. I'm not positive. I don't think it did, but maybe it did. And just, it's very nostalgic for me. Even though it's not amazing, it's very nostalgic. Let's go to Sonic.exe. Not a perfect creepypasta whatsoever, but the game, it just, the community created like this massive nostalgia for me, like a massive amount of nostalgia. And Sonic.exe is like almost as popular as Sonic itself. Like it's a very popular, creepypasta. Even though it's not great, I think most of the popularity comes from the games and the updates that it's gotten and how different it is from its original iteration. But we're not here about talking about Sonic.exe. Like I said, probably a 4. Still very nostalgic for me. I still really enjoyed it. Okay, I believe that'll be it for me. Go ahead and watch my other creepypasta videos, or don't. Do what you want. At this point, if you want to throw down a like would be nice. Or a dislike if you really didn't like it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the Dead Bart creepypasta after, years. This is Dr. Paracelsus signing off.